There are a lot of companions in Neverwinter, and it can be hard to know which ones are worth buying. In this series, I talk a little bit about how companions work, their history, and their effectiveness in an effort to save you some time and some hard-earned AD. Welcome to Questionable Companions. The Archon trio are unquestionably some of the most popular companions in Neverwinter. You'll see them on almost every... What now? Yeah. You're telling me there's 4 of them? No, that can't be right. It says here on the script there's only 3. Alright, okay, I'll Google it. Sheesh. Archons Neverwinter. Huh. Alright, well, the Archon Quartet simply doesn't have the same ring to it, alright? Alright, I know, we can't... Okay. So how about we keep the name, but I'll cover all 4. Alright? Okay. Now, where was I? Ah, right. So the Archons are some of the most popular companions out there. Being top DPS companions, they're found on almost every DPS class, and even some tanks that just want to hit harder. Their bonuses that stack with one another the more Archons you're using means that you'll often see people running around with 3 or even all 4 of them. In this video, I'll run through each of them, one by one, and give them a score out of 10 individually based on their ability as both an active and a summoned companion, and then place them on a tier list with the other companions that I've covered in the series. Without further ado, let's begin. The Fire Archon is the Archon that most players are familiar with. He's handsome, enthusiastic, and he's only got like 4 voice lines, so you better get used to hearing.
They shall be but kindred.
A very strong active bonus, a relatively low price tag, and a solid effectiveness as a summoned companion has landed him on many players' rosters. He's currently still very strong, and I recommend using him as a summoned companion for any aspiring DPS until they can get their hands on a Cholton Tiger, since they can just swap him to an active slot afterwards. His gear being easy to fill, his 3 offensive runestone slots, and the fact that he's ranged makes him the perfect companion to just sit back and proc bondings. His active bonus, 7% extra damage to enemies under 50% health, is great for any DPS class, not to mention that he gains another additional 0.5% for every Archon you have active. Overall, he's a strong companion, and I give him a solid 8 out of 10 as a summoned, and a 9.5 out of 10 as an active companion. He's also the cheapest of the Archon trio, considering the 4th Archon isn't really worth using. I would recommend him as the first Archon that newer players try to get. Be sure to wait until trade bar sales, since people usually buy him for bars and then sell him for AD, and their price on the auction house will drop. Man, where'd all this wind come from? Could have sworn I was inside recording a video a second ago. Oh jeez, this joke is lame. Anyway, the Archon is a solid workhorse of a companion. 5% additional damage to targets not at full health is awesome. In hard dungeons, that 5% is active almost the entire time, and in boss fights you're getting that 5% for every hit after the first. Just like Fire, he also scales with the other companions, meaning that if you're using the full trio, you're getting a whopping 6.5 extra damage to targets not at full health. Unfortunately, that's where the Archon's amazing qualities end. He's a solid active companion, but considering he's melee and doesn't have any standout abilities, there are just better options for summoned companions. I give him a 6.5 out of 10 as a summoned, and a 9.5 out of 10 as an active. There just isn't a reason to use him as a summoned companion, especially when Cholton Tiger, Sellsword, or even Fire Archon would do so much better. The Earth Archon can go from top tier to dumpster tier depending on the groups you usually run with, and the class that you play. As a Warlock with a lot of lifesteal, I'm almost always at full health, so I almost always get that bonus. Of course, things are a little different for every DPS class, but if you're running with a solid DC or a good pally, you should be at full health most of the time, even without lifesteal. Although he's a pretty strong active companion, he's an awful excuse for a summoned one. With 3 defensive slots, gear that's hard to come by, and almost no redeeming quality in his abilities, he comes in at an astonishing 2.5 out of 10 as a summoned, but as an active he gets a solid 9 out of 10, easily within what I would consider top tier. The Water Archon is absolutely forgettable. With an active bonus so mediocre, I bet a handful of you didn't even know there was a Water Archon before this video. I'd easily consider him the worst of the 4 Archons. His bonus isn't awful, there are worse, but when paired with a lineup as strong as the last 3, there just isn't any competition. The Water Archon gets left in the dust. When things like Siege Master and Razorwood exist, it's so hard for me to recommend using him, active or otherwise. As of this recording, the Water Archon increases your damage to targets at full health, meaning that if you aren't the absolute first to hit trash or a boss, you get nothing from this companion, and would be better off using anything else. When it does work, the bonus isn't bad, assuming that you're clearing trash, or using it in solo play, where there are worse options. I give him a 3 out of 10 as a summoned, and a 3 out of 10 as an active. Don't use this companion. When placing the Archons on the tier list, I'm going to rank them individually, and then as a trio, excluding the Water Archon, since I don't recommend anyone use that companion. I'll use this icon here to represent all 3 icons together on the tier list. Fire and Air Archons by themselves are easily top tier material, with their consistent and substantial bonuses to outgoing damage. Earth Archon lands himself in mid tier, since he can do very well on certain classes or in certain groups, but since he's highly circumstantial and depends on a lot of incoming healing and shields to be effective. Finally, Water Archon's somewhat usefulness in solo content just barely saves it from the useless tier. I reluctantly have to put it at the bottom. The trio itself is very strong, and I would argue best in slot for most DPS classes. With that in mind, they're easily within the God tier, and I don't think they'll be leaving that spot anytime soon. Thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to leave your suggestions for companions I should cover in the next video in the comment section below. This has been Charisma, and I'll see you later.